Okay, so um, let me know if the screen is visible. I think I can see from my side. Okay, sounds good. So we'll use AI to prepare for exams. This has two different things in today's lecture. One thing is especially the school students. So there are many paid apps online, many paid services. So I will not tell you to use any of those. That is like your choice. But I'll tell you at least the LLMs and all which are so widely available in free form, how you can use them yourself. ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੋ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਸਕੂਲ ਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਪੇਡ ਐਪਸ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਨੇ ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਕੁਝ ਐਪਸ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਫੀਚਰਸ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਮੋਸਟਲੀ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ AI ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਆਫ ਵਿਊ ਤੋਂ ਕਿ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਨਫ ਆ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਥੋੜਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰ ਪਾਓਗੇ ਕੁਝ ਯੂ ਵਿਲ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੋ ਪਾਸਟ ਲੈਕਚਰਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਆਸਾਨ ਆ that's for school student. ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਲਈ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਸਟੈਪ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ AI ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਐਟ ਕੰਪਨੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੰਪਨੀਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਉਹ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਰੀਅਲ ਲਾਈਫ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੇਸ ਨਾਲ ਬੜਾ ਰਿਲੇਟਡ ਹੈ ਆਈ ਟੈਲ ਯੂ ਹਾਊ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਅਕਸਰ ਆਪਣੀ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਰਸਸ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਮਿਸਿੰਗ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਵੀ ਕਨਫਿਊਜ਼ਡ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ So for university students, we'll start how the interview process looks like, and then I'll connect it slowly to our next steps of learning. Like we started learning Python data sets last time. So we'll complete this through some real examples, which will stay with you for your life. And my hope is actually that whatever we learn, we don't learn some random variables, but something real which stays with you, okay? That is the goal. So many students are new. Give me a thumbs up if this is like your first or second class, if you are like recent in the course. Okay. So if you have not registered, so please register. I have seen like the students are attending recently. Okay. So you should register. And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. I will answer those questions at like some stages. I'll try to stop and answer them. Okay. So I think we'll continue the code also from next lecture. Today's lecture, I'll set the stage that what kind of code like an interview problem needs and how it is defined. Okay. We'll start with something simpler but very interesting example using which you will be able to code most of the good real use cases. Okay. So you can put the question in the chat, so that's fine. I'll take a look at it like in 5 minutes or 10 minutes roughly when I feel that it's a good time to stop. For all of you whose it was like first or second class, like you told earlier, the recordings are available online. I'll request you all to go through it. The recordings are important because they'll give you a very good picture of what is happening in the class. Okay. So let me put this link in the chat and then we'll stop for answering anything and then we'll continue. So ਜੋ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਤੇ ਦੂਜੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਰਿਕਾਰਡਿੰਗਸ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਚ ਕਰਨ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਥਰਡ ਵਾਚਿੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਮਝ ਆਣਗੀਆਂ ਜੋ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਲੈਕਚਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਿਸ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਕੋਲ ਅਕਸਰ So yes, let's come back to the main focus for today. And so first part of the lecture I'll cover like past papers to find important topics. This is mostly focusing for school students. I'll little bit tell you like your books are online, you can use them to learn concepts. You can get feedback on your student answers. You can learn by listening like text to speech. Today the text to speech which I'll cover, I will use like to open source, like openly available stuff. But I'll also teach you how you can develop text to speech using Python code. On my channel, there is a YouTube video which is teaching this, but that video you may not understand if you're very new. So I'll teach you this a little bit later in the course, okay? Adaptive learning, I'll introduce and I'll tell you what actually else is possible. Like you can control the level of your learning slowly, okay? Think of all this as your personalized teacher. I'll also tell you that it's not a replacement for your teacher. So your teacher in person is a lot more than all this. but still this is like your friend, a learned teacher in your pocket or with you when you are not in presence of your real teacher. You can think it that way. So ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਪਾਰਟ ਕਵਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਉਹਦਾ ਮੇਨ ਗੋਲ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਾਸਟ ਪੇਪਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਦੇ PDF, ਪਾਸਟ ਪੇਪਰਸ ਦੇ PDF ਓਪਨਲੀ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਜੋ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਆਨਸਰ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਸ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਹੋ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਦੇ, ਲਾਈਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫੀਡਬੈਕ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਟੈਕਸਟ ਟੂ ਸਪੀਚ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਸ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੁੱਕ ਚੈਪਟਰਸ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਿਸਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮੈਨੀ ਟਾਈਮਸ ਲਾਈਕ students love to listen to a topic, right? So that all things are possible. And finally, I'll try to give an overview of adaptive learning. What is adaptive learning? It's a lot of research is happening around this. ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੇ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਬਣੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਨੇ, ਸਟਾਰਟਅਪਸ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਚਾਰਜ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ। ਬਟ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਦੇ ਆਪ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਸਟਾਰਟਅਪ ਜਾਂ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਨੂੰ ਪੇ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ। ਓਕੇ, so for all these things, there are many startups, paid companies which are charging students, universities. You don't have to do that. Let's get started with this. So this is nothing but a smart prompting trick. Prompting ਕੀ ਹੈ ਆਪਾਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ। prompting tricks universities ਦੇ professors ਵੀ use ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, university ਦੇ students ਵੀ use ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, company professionals use ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਹਰ ਕੋਈ use ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। So prompting tricks are very widely used. There are prompting courses online. Okay. You don't have to take those courses, but this is a common sense, which you will see that these are very simple. There is nothing rocket science in this first part, and this is just a common sense. Second part will start today also. The university or students which are actually going into the job market, that preparation part, that is actually more interesting and important from that side, that there is little to no material on those kind of things. But this first part is also very interesting and very easy to do actually. Okay. So for the school students, so this is actually the class 10th NCERT book I'm showing you. But it's सारी NCERT books online available नहीं ਤੁਹਾਡੀਆਂ। So all the school students who are in the call. So how many of you are school student? Give me a thumbs up again if you are a school student. Okay, sounds good. That's nice. And how many of you know that your books are available online? Give me a thumbs up if you know that. Okay. So you know that. So your online books actually are available on the NCERT official page, whichever subject books you are interested in. Now, there are many other publisher books and whatnot, but NCERT books serves as like the baseline for the material curriculum content, which are covered by different professors, universities, right? Many different boards actually follow these books as the guidelines. Now, these books have different chapters, which you see here. Like, so basically, this text is available to you. And this is like your chapter 1 of 10th standard NCERT book, actually. How many of you are in 10th standard? Give me a thumbs up, actually, if you are in 10th standard. I do know that the 10th standard exams were there, but so if you are in 10th standard, give me. So there are many students in 10th standard. Interesting. Have you studied this chapter in your exam? Give me a thumbs up if you studied this chapter, maybe. Okay, sounds good. Cool. So this is a real amazing experience. You have seen this chapter, right? So this is nothing but text data. Okay. This is nothing but text data. So your past papers are available on the CBSE official site. Your NCERT science books are available on the NCERT official site. Like here, this is the link to get a class like 10th, 1 to 13 chapter of the science like book, but you can get it for any books, whichever you're interested in. Okay. Now, have you used your past paper in your preparation? Give me a thumbs up if you ever used past paper in your preparation. Cool. So you might be already be aware of certain tricks, but let us look at some from a complete perspective. Okay, how you can use the past papers and stuff like that. Now, let us do one interesting exercise. So we'll take the past paper and we'll take chapter 1 of the science book and we'll tell it certain things. So ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਜੋ ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਨੇ, ਜੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਸਲਾਈਡਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ NCERT ਦੀਆਂ ਬੁੱਕਸ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਬੁੱਕਸ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਾਸਟ ਪੇਪਰਸ, ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਹੈ। ਓਕੇ, ਇਹ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਿੰਪਲ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲਸ ਦਿਆਂਗਾ, ਪਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਲਾਈਕ ਫॉर ਯੂਰ ਓਨ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੇਸਸ ਐਂਡ ਸੋ ਔਨ। ਓਕੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਫॉर ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪਾਸਟ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਨੇ, ਪਾਸਟ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਸ ਦੇ, ਤੇ ਚੈਪਟਰ 1 ਦਾ ਇਨਪੁਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਚੈਪਟਰ 1 ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਨੇ, ਟੈਲ ਮੀ ਦੈਟ। So using your past questions in chapter 1, actually this is a mistake in spelling, it should be chapter instead of chatbot, okay? So in using your past questions in your chapter 1 as input, you can tell, give me the questions which are actually like from my chapter. We'll go through this chat GPT chat which is shared here. I will show you. So you can do this with chat GPT, you can do this with Gemini, you can do this with Perplexity, you can do with anything which is like free to use. Chat GPT has a free variant to use, so you don't have to pay to anyone. But using this, it will tell us like, okay, these are the questions. This actually I gave it as input of 2022 and 2023 paper of science, and it gives me these are the questions from chapter 1 in the exam. So mainu past 2022 to 2023 ਦੇ input ਦਿੱਤੇ exam ਦੇ, book the input ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ, right? And tell me the questions from chapter 1. I actually validated these, so these are actually the questions from chapter 1. So chapter 1 was on equation, balancing, exothermic, endothermic, all that concepts, and it actually these are the real exam questions. So ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ exam ਵਿੱਚ chapter 1 the questions ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, right? So it tells you that. But more than that, it tells us something more. Like, so this Colab actually notebook has all these questions extracted. I will show you after like next 1 or 2 more slides, but this is just to give you a glimpse that all these things are not in the air. They actually work with the like many beautiful concepts like this learning concept. For example, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਇਹਨੂੰ, what are the key concepts to focus on? So I have the past questions, I have the chapter 1 also. These past questions are now the exam questions which came from chapter 1, and tell me what to focus on. It will tell you that, okay, all the questions are roughly around balancing equations, types of reactions, oxidation, real world applications, and some reasoning, okay? ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ past questions ਉਸ chapter ਦੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ chapter 1 ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ ਚਾਹਨਾ। ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਦੇਗਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ balancing equation ਸਿੱਖੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ reaction ਸਿੱਖੋ, ਇਹ ਸਭ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਸਿੱਖੋ, right? ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੇ 10th ਵਾਲੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ ਵਿੱਚ, do you think this is useful? It helps you in any way? Like if these kind of things are available to you, this is a real you can say survey. Now on this there are companies who will give you exactly this, but for a charge. You don't need to pay them. Okay, now how to do this? Like, let us look at that. I'll show you the chat, just what kind of prompts we are using, but we'll move on fast from this to something more meaningful as well. Okay. Okay, so I'll share with you these slides also, like some links which you need to learn about this. But let me continue continue and share you what kind of prompts. These prompts are very easy. It's like common sense. But for students, this is like interesting. Okay, so from the students, how many of you actually use ChatGPT? Give me a thumbs up if you actually use ChatGPT. Okay, so many of you use this. Okay, so this is like the screen share I'm doing is of this link. I'll put this link in the chat also for you to, after I show you, you can see it. What I'm telling it, I gave it the science PDF, like the NCERT, and told it like extract the English questions and give me a markdown, because I wanted to add it to Google Colab also, so I can play with it later on for further things. But this is the science PDF, is actually the exam PDF, 2022 and 2023 exams. So it's extracted all the English questions from it. So there are questions in multiple languages, right, in the exam. So these questions look very, actually are real. I verified it. Then I told it, okay, you can verify also all the questions are extracted. It said, yes, it's all extracted. I also verified they are extracted. Then I gave it 2023 exam, science exam, 10th class, and told it to do again. This is the prompt you can kind of use and do the same thing. It's very simple prompts. Play with it at your end. It will again extract this paper had 39 questions. It extracted all the 39 MCQs and whatnot questions. Okay. So totally in the end, there are 39 questions which you see here. Okay. Finally, from both of these, I gave it the first chapter of the book and told it, for all the questions above which you already extracted for me from the PDF of exam, tell me which of the questions are from chapter 1. That's what I told it. And finally, like it goes into details of actually chapter 1 questions, also sample questions, and then based on exam patterns, told me, okay, these are the things which are being asked. And actually I told it, okay, tell me only the questions. I don't want everything else, right? This is what prompt engineering is. Nothing magic in this. and then it actually only extracted from it the exam questions. Okay, all these things. These are real exam questions. I validated them. So these are from the papers, but finally I told it to key concepts, and that's what it told me to focus on. So this is very simple first prompt engineering exercise. Let's go through this basic thing in Punjabi again. So Punjabi ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੇਪਰਸ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਚੈਪਟਰਸ ਦੀ PDF ਦੇ ਦਿਓ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਇੱਕ ਇਹਦੇ ਚੋਂ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਪੇਪਰ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਚੈਪਟਰ 1 ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਆਏ ਨੇ, ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਉਹ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਲਈ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕਨਸੈਪਟਸ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ, ਫਾਈਨਲੀ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਨਸਰ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦਾ. ਓਕੇ, as simple as that. From the audience, how many of you understood this part of the first part of the prompt engineering? Okay. Tell me in the audience where you actually using something earlier also. Give me a thumbs up if you were using something similar earlier. Okay. So one thing to understand this is not like any cheating or anything of that sort. What this is more like you could have done this manually also. So manually ਵੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਮੈਪ ਨੋਟਸ ਬਣਾਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਚੈਪਟਰ 1 ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ ਨੇ, ਉਹ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕਨਸੈਪਟਸ ਦੇ ਨੇ. ਸੋ ਮੈਂਟਲੀ ਮੈਪਸ ਸਮਾਰਟ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਟੀਚਰਸ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ. ਨਾਓ all that mental maps, that mental mapping, AI can do it for you within just 1 or 2 minutes rather than you spending 2-3 hours. Okay, so that mental maps were done by students of key concepts, questions from different chapters, right? So you can do this as easy as in 1 to 2 minutes. It's just automation. Now, if you put this thing together with the PDF and the automation as one code, that's an agent. So agent key, as some people were asking me in the past. So see your PDF loading the concept, AI, the query, the LLM, the concept, no, ek bundle ch band kar do, that's an agent. So this is an agent which will extract your common questions and concepts for you. And many companies sell these agents actually, okay? So let us stop the share and let's continue to the more other further parts in the lecture. So finally, we came at a stage where it is showing you that you can actually pass questions chapter 1 as input, and okay, what are the key concepts to focus on, like we talked about. And these concepts are actually good. See, if I would have been learning this, I would have actually focused on these balancing equations because it's asked in every exam in the past. I see that. Okay. So let's look at the next part. Another smart prompting is, for now, I'll just share with you simpler ideas because you understand like this is just writing input to the GPT. Another smart prompting is that if you're struggling with chapter 1 balancing equations, which is very hard, just tell it to give me simpler examples which are simpler than the books. So it will give you more simpler examples and more explanations. Now, ਹੁਣ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਆ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਨਸੈਪਟਸ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਦੇ ਹਾਰਡ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਸਮਝਣ ਲਈ. ਬੁੱਕਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲਸ ਟਫ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਿੰਪਲਰ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲਸ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਨਾਲੋਂ, ਮੈਂ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲਸ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਸਮਝਾਂਗਾ, ਹੈ ਨਾ. ਸੋ ਇਟਸ ਲਾਈਕ ਯੂਰ ਇਨ ਹਾਊਸ ਟੀਚਰ ਟੂ ਟੀਚ ਯੂ ਆਲ ਥੀਸ ਥਿੰਗਸ. Next, you can get feedback on your answers. Now this is something good. This is a real exam question. Define scattering of light and explain why the sky appear blue. ਹੁਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਅਲੱਗ-ਅਲੱਗ level of answers ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ, right? So in this real exam question, you can give answers at different levels. Scattering of light happens because of this, and why the sky appears blue, and some students can give it more deeper, right? Now, based on your book, you can give your book as input and try to get the feedback from the GPT, okay? Now that is GPT is just like LLM. You can get the feedback from any other open source LLM. Most of the LLMs today are very good. From big companies, the LLMs are amazingly good. So you can pick and use. These are very simpler things which you are using it for. You can tell it actually give me 3-line feedback because you don't want to read very long feedbacks and all. So it will tell you, okay, this answer is simple, easy to understand, but it misses important details. It gives the feedback for first one, and second one, it says it's well explained and stuff like that. So this feedback is nothing but trying to tell you, okay, how you can improve your answer. Now this feedback doesn't mean it's only for students. बहुत सारे industry professionals भी आपके emails से feedback लेंदे ने, आपके essay writing से feedback लेंदे ने. So this thing is very widely used across the board. Okay. How many of you are using GPT for these kind of tasks? Also tell me, give me a thumbs up if you use it to get feedbacks and stuff like that. Okay, so this thing is used by me also, like, you know, enough times when I need to get a third eye visit and I don't have access to, say, another close friend or another expert with me, right? Text to speech, like I said, ਆਪਾਂ text to speech अपने course ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜਾਂਗੇ. ਮੇਰੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੈਲ ਸਮਾਲ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏਗੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਕੋਡ ਦਾ ਲਿੰਕ ਵੀ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਪਲੇ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕੋਲੈਬ ਵਿੱਚ. ਬਟ ਇੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੂੰਗਾ ਕਿ there are open source available, like tsreader.com ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਟੈਕਸਟ ਇਨਪੁਟ ਕਰੋ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਦਆਊਟ ਐਨੀ ਲੌਗਇਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਲੇ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। GPT ਵੀ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਿੰਪਲ ਥੱਲੇ ਬਟਨ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੋਣਾ ਇਸ ਵੋਲਿਊਮ ਦਾ, ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰੋਗੇ GPT ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਨਸਰ ਬੋਲ ਕੇ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ। So in short, there are many tools available like free websites without any login or GPT tools. And if it's a long answer and you want to listen to it, people often listen to answers and to learn. There's a good amount of science behind these things, that when you listen answers through eyes and you also listen answers through ears, right? Listening through eyes means you are reading it. So you use multiple modalities of inputs, you are able to learn concepts more faster and remember. There are a lot of like theories of learning around multimodal learning, not only in ML, but multimodal learning for humans too. Okay. Let's stop here before I move into something other further. And let's see if there are questions in the chat. Sir, what if I want to create a mind map for each chapter of the book? Which tools? So there are many tools actually open source available. Open source, I mean like websites and all. They're not free to use. Some tools are free to use. They will allow you to create mind maps. They will allow you to like create like those markers and connections. I find them very messy myself, but like it's your choice. I can share with you tools. If just message me on WhatsApp and I'll share links of few of them which people use. I have not shared here because many of them are paid to use and I don't want you to spend money on these things. Okay. In Punjabi मतलब बहुत सारे tools अपने को available ने, companies इस tools ਨੂੰ sell ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ really interested ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ WhatsApp ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, but ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ। ਤੁਸੀਂ open source LLMs ਤੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ concepts mind map distill ਵਧੀਆ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। Punjabi session we are already going in terms of Punjabi explanations of the things side by side. ਅਸੀਂ Punjabi session ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ। Okay ਜੀ। Let's continue further. So let's introduce something more interesting, adaptive learning, right? So adaptive learning ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। In the past LLM ਜਦੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਸੀ ਉਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ। ਰਿਸਰਚ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਵੀ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਐਕਟਿਵ ਰਿਸਰਚ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਤੇ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਬਣ ਗਈਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਰਨਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਲੈਵਲ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? ਸੋ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੈਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖ ਕੇ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੌਂਪਟਸ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅਡੈਪਟਿਵ ਲਰਨਿੰਗ ਲਈ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਰਾਈਟ? So adaptive learning has existed for long. It has different names. Many people talk it like around this, which is like personalized learning or adaptive learning. One and the same thing, have some different contexts, but very similar. You can control the level of learning. You can control the level of difficulty of concept. You can control the level of difficulty of examples. Like one of the things we looked recently, like in this lecture only, that give me simplified examples which are not present in chapter 1, say. But as audience, I'm just asking that if you can write maybe from your side, what kind of prompts can do this kind of adaptive learning? We will not do a live prompting here to just save our time, but this is nothing but in today's LLM and your book chapters and PDFs, it's just a prompting technique. Okay. How many of you actually use like LLMs to simplify concepts and all to learn? Give me a thumbs up if you actually use it. Okay. So you are already doing adaptive learning yourself. So ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ adaptive learning like simpler concepts chat GPT ਤੋਂ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ give me thumbs up, ਪਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ already ਇਹ ਸਭ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ। So use these LLMs to learn, grow. You don't have to be dependent on them to write your responses, but use them to learn concepts, to simplify, to polish your responses, but don't lose the concept of writing yourself. So I don't want to tell students to just leave writing yourself and get responses from GPT. Okay, that's not the good idea, but use it to polish it, be your advisor, be your feedback giver. Okay. Let me stop here and see. Okay, there are no questions in the chat which are complex. Okay, let's continue then. Before we move on to something else, so if you're not using it, many of people are using it. So I'll suggest you also, it's a good idea to start using it. How many of you are using it? Just write in the chat so you'll get an idea how many of you actually are using these things. Write it in the chat if you're actually using it. Okay. So many people gave me thumbs up, and some people actually wrote it in the chat using GPT. So GPT for exams is not a bad idea in the sense that if you're actually making progress and using it to learn, so it's a good way to learn the things. So to be an AI expert, you have to be also AI user to some extent. And these prompts are actually, I will take 1 or 2 lectures towards the end of this intro course where I'll introduce how GPT was able to answer these prompts. Okay. ਆਪਾਂ ਲਾਸਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਲੈਕਚਰਸ 1-2 ਲਵਾਂਗੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਜੀਪੀਟੀ ਪ੍ਰੌਂਪਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਆਨਸਰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਅਰਲੀਅਰ ਮਾਡਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਜੀਪੀਟੀ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਇੰਨਾ ਪਪੂਲਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੌਂਪਟਸ ਆਪਣੀ ਇਨਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਲੋ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ important interesting alignment techniques ne I little bit introduce those kind of things to you as well. So let's continue further. Okay, so many other things are possible but they are similar. बहुत सारियां ਹੋਰ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ possible ਨੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ practice papers generate ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ like past ਕੁਝ papers ਦੇ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ similar practice papers generate ਕਰੋ ਹੁਣ ਇਹ practice paper ਸਾਰਾ generate ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤਾਂ quality ਵਧੀਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਏਗੀ. Okay, so you can create practice papers using the past papers. If you try to generate practice paper completely, the quality is not good actually. So you have to be smarter when you use these LLMs. The modern today LLMs are still babies. They have to grow. What you can do is you create practice paper by chapters. That will be slightly better. So for example, use the chapter, use the exam, try to find the questions from chapter 1, and then use those questions and tell it to create similar questions. That will be more better because now you have made its task very easier. If you keep the task open-ended that creates similar practice questions without giving it context of book and chapters and PDFs, then it will create more open-ended responses which are like not good. Okay, ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਆ in simple ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਪੇਪਰ ਜਨਰੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਉਹ ਡਿਪੈਂਡ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਇਨਪੁਟ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ LLM ਨੂੰ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਇਨਪੁਟ ਦੇਣਾ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ ਆਰਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਕਸਪਰਟ ਹਾਸਿਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੌਂਪਟ ਇੰਜੀਨੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਜੌਬਸ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਗਜ਼ਿਸਟ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੈਲ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਨੇ ਬਟ ਇਟਸ ਲਾਈਕ ਅ ਕਾਮਨ ਸੈਂਸ ਨੌਲੇਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸਮਝ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ LLM ਓਪਨ ਐਂਡਡ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਦਿਓਗੇ ਕਿ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਜਨਰੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾਉਂਦਾ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਬਟ ਇੰਨੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਨੂੰ ਵੈਲ ਡਿਫਾਈਨ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਜਨਰੇਟ ਕਰੋ ਆ ਬੁੱਕ ਚੈਪਟਰਸ ਨੇ ਆ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਪੇਪਰ ਨੇ ਫਸਟ ਚੈਪਟਰ ਦੇ ਸਿਮਿਲਰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਜਨਰੇਟ ਕਰੋ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੰਪਲੀਫਾਈ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਦੇ ਆਨਸਰਸ ਕਾਫੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਓਕੇ ਯੂ ਕੈਨ ਯੂਜ਼ ਇਟ ਟੂ ਕੀਪ ਟਰੈਕ ਆਫ ਯੂਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰੈਸ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਨਸੈਪਟਸ ਆਨਸਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਸੋਲੂਸ਼ਨਸ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਟੂ ਗ੍ਰੇਡ ਇਟ ਲਾਈਕ ਦਾ ਫੀਡਬੈਕ ਇਜ਼ ਵਨ ਪਾਰਟ ਬਟ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰੀਆਂ ਮਿਸਟੇਕਸ ਕੀ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੀਆਂ ਮਿਸਟੇਕਸ ਤੇ ਨਵੀਆਂ ਮਿਸਟੇਕਸ ਨੂੰ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰੈਸ ਟਰੈਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਯੂ ਕੈਨ ਕੀਪ ਟਰੈਕ ਆਫ ਇਟ ਯੂਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਯੂਰ ਪਾਸਟ ਐਂਡ ਨਿਊ ਮਿਸਟੇਕਸ ਓਕੇ you can ask it like the similar examples, similar concepts, real use cases, all the things like for example ਤੁਸੀਂ endothermic exothermic reactions ਪੜ੍ਹ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ real use cases ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ real use cases ਕੀ ਨੇ for example you are using these reactions you can ask it the real use cases endothermic exothermic reactions have many real use cases right oftentimes books ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ discussed ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ real LLM ਦੀ knowledge ਤੋਂ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ discuss ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ one important thing here to remember is it is good LLM all this ChatGPT is good when there is a lot of training data on concepts so ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਟੀਚਰ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਪਲੇਸ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ that is not the point ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟੀਚਰ ਆ ਜੋ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਟੱਚ ਆ ਜੋ ਟੀਚਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਰਸਨਲਾਈਜ਼ਡ ਟੀਚ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਪਲੇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ but these are good when there's a lot of training data because we have NCERT books we have concepts from so many different countries there are so many school material available from around the world so for structured learning I mean like schools and school students is do learning it's very structured bachelor learning bachelor of technology learning in universities also to some extent structured because there are proper curriculum set right once you go into learning at master's and PhD level that's when the GPTs and all are not able to help you that much in terms of exams and all because their exams are writing research papers right they still guide you but that's not like the exams in here what we are talking about okay so in structured learning curriculum learning we can use it to create simpler curriculums adaptive curriculums personalized curriculums all that thing is possible okay